going? My name is Nick, and I just want to say first, I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing to Roll Coverage. It really helps us out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Otherwise, just sit back and get ready. It's time to Roll Coverage.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Nope. They Roll Coverage. All right, first of all, just first day on the grass against each other. I just thought, the focus was let's learn how to take care of each other. Let's learn how to be great teammates. Let's get the full speed nature that we want, but let's be smart about it. And I was really pleased with that part of it. The guys, being able to call any type of run or pass play, but for the defense and offense to have that, it's a dance, especially up front, with the big guys. And so to see them be able to handle that, we got a lot of veteran guys. And I just told the young guys earlier, hey, if you don't know, just step back and watch these guys do it. And so I was pleased with that. Definitely a little bit rusty offensively,
Yeah, so before I let him get too crazy, I love the dancing part of it, with the big guys. We obviously know there's been some shifts on the offensive line. We've got some new people coming in to help Bryce out, especially one on each side, I believe. And then on the defensive side, we bring Clowney back. There are some pieces there. Wanham, of course. So not just on that side, you got wide receivers. You got people that we brought in free agencies. There's a lot of moving pieces now. Now Dave has to take it, make a plan, and actually put that plan into action, something that we're able to actually see. Now he's going to get into what we've heard a little bit, which are the offensive struggles, but that comes kind of with everything that's happening. Just what I said. We're retooling the offensive line. We just retooled the entire offense when it comes to the wide receiver room. We have a new running back coming in soon. And, of course, a great pass-catching tight end in Jatavian Sanders. So there's going to be a lot of flux. I expect that. Obviously, this is just the beginning. But this man is hopefully going to lead us to a championship, hopefully a playoff win at some point. I'm not saying this year. Definitely not saying this year. But, hey, crazier things have happened, right?
It's you're throwing on air, and all of a sudden these windows get real tight, and our defense is starting to close zones. Love the way I heard them talk out there, communicate from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big thing coming in with Evero. Obviously, he's been there a little bit. He's able to establish it. He's obviously still got some defensive players from last year. So we're not just kind of reflipping everything with the defense. We're still hoping, I guess, to get Stephon Gilmore to come back into the fold to help us out there. But even then, I don't think that's really what we need. I feel like we're still missing a lot on the defensive side, and I feel like we're really going to hurt with that Brian Burns sized hole that we have now. But if anybody can scheme it up, it's going to be Evero. So we got to give him the tools to move forward. Hopefully there's maybe one or two pieces we could still maybe snag off somebody else's practice squad to improve our team, but we shall see.
And I'd like to see the offense's tempo coming out of the huddle to be better, attack the line of scrimmage. So that just shows me there's still a little bit of uncertainty about what we're doing, what are things called to get the tempo that we want. But that being said, just a spirited day and a lot of really good work from the group.
Hey, thank you, Dave, for that. I appreciate you being here, my guy. The rebuilding of the Carolina Panthers will be a long one. Hopefully you are here for every step of the way.
How do you feel like, I know it's very, very early, but how do you feel like Bryce is, how is Bryce picking up the playbook?
He's doing fantastic with it, and the way that we do it is part to whole, really. So as we...
Okay, so just in case you didn't understand it, the reporter asked how is Bryce handling the playbook. One of the things that we heard out of college is that he is a amazing computer-like processor. The big S2 leaking that I did a whole video on and everything. There's a lot going into it. Plus, again, the background that Bryce comes from. He's been playing high-level competition since high school. His parents obviously have a mental health background, so that obviously helped him when he was growing up, how he deals with loss, how he deals with winning. So he's obviously got the mental headspace to deal with it. I just need to see foot to pavement on the field.
Teach our concepts, just for an example. Okay, so we say we have a pass concept, right? We're not going to use 6 different formations today to run this concept. It becomes something really good that we're effective at. We'll start to build it out. So for us, the formations are pretty vanilla.
Please, okay? I'm telling everybody, the word vanilla is banned for the Carolina Panthers this year, okay? We heard last year that Frank Reich had a vanilla offense, vanilla scheme and everything. Then we also heard reports that Bryce wasn't understanding that. So if he's a supercomputer like we're being told, then he's got to be able to understand Dave Canales. I think there's going to be a lot of motion involved with this offense, so I think that could be a little bit of the struggle as well. But again, this is one of the few times that they're actually getting people there, like foot to grass, and actually seeing it all kind of play out in front of them. So it's going to take time.
So that we can just teach the concept and what we want out of each route, the depth, the footwork for Bryce, for Andy, for Jack, you know. And so that's the approach right now. So as I expect him to do, he's really mastering that part of it. The run game as well, you know, just starting off with like the core of what our run game looks like so that the centers can make the right calls, the backs can press it proper way, and the quarterback can get us to the right run versus the different looks. So really pleased.
One of the things that I must say I really like about Dave at a head coaching level, which is something I did do in my breakdown as well, is I like the way he breaks down the play. He's able to actually kind of go through his thought process with it. So that helps out a lot for other people that are non-football fans or just the true diehard fans just want to take in every morsel of information. He's going to give that to you. He's going to have you understand kind of, again, the psyche of why they're doing what they're doing without giving too much away, of course. But this is the kind of openness that I think is coming to the NFL, where coaches are going to be the opposite of Bill Belichick and maybe one day be over explainers, sit up at the podium too long explaining stuff. So I hope everybody enjoys this time where it's just kind of like we're looking for the morsels, because I think that age of information, like just truly overwhelming, is coming very soon.
Obviously, there's not a lot of contact in practice, but we saw Bryce throw a few passes down the field where he connected with Ian and Adam. What have you seen from him as a deep ball thrower so far?
Okay, so just again, if you haven't heard it, he's asking about how Bryce is doing on deep ball throws. He had connected one with Ian Thomas and one with Adam Thielen. So take it away, Dave.
Yeah. Deep ball, short intermediate. He's a really accurate passer. I think one of the things that I love is I can really focus in on his footwork and his base and the mechanics of where his eye.
And this is the place where, oh my God, we were talking about footwork, and then they thought last year that they could change the footwork last second and all this other stuff. So I like that we're starting from the basis of something that we knew was a problem last year, Bryce's footwork. Obviously, adding 2 new offensive linemen are going to adjust that. Moving Corbett around is going to do that. And obviously, Icky back in there is going to change some stuff up. So getting all that established now is the right thing to do.
They're at when I know the ball's hitting the receivers. And so, you know, for the last couple of weeks, been throwing on air. I don't have to worry about where the ball's going. You know, he's very accurate. Andy, the same thing, you know, and I know they're pros, right? So people have this expectation that quarterbacks are accurate, but I know that some guys are more accurate than others. So I think it's the ability of Bryce to be able to throw to different body types, different speeds, different quickness at the top of routes. So I'm really impressed with that part of it.
Dave, with the rust that you talked about, with the throwing of the quarterbacks, the rookies, was that still like where you thought it would be, or how was it with your expectations?
Yeah, honestly, I come with open expectations. If they want to,
He's asking if you had any expectations of where Bryce would be or where the team would be or anything like that.
show me that we're dialed in and we're ripping it, and we can start kind of moving along the progression of what we're installing, then I love that. You know, today what it looked like is there's some fine tuning that still needs to happen, you know, with some of our vertical routes, the timing of it, where the receiver's turning his eyes, you know, the landmarks that our quarterbacks are throwing to. We got a ways to go. So, but it's good stuff. And now
It's interesting that he said he's close, and then he says, but we have a ways to go. So think about that. You know, he might be saying a lot of these flowery things, but there's obviously a little bit of I don't know what it would be. I was about to say misguidance, but that wouldn't be the word. Misguiding, I guess.
Oh, the deception! The betrayal, man. You deceived me!
Where he's just trying to throw you off the scent. So I think that we still have, again, a lot of time and a lot of growth. That's why I keep calling this a rebuild. That's what I called it last year. It's a true rebuild. You know, we were getting a rookie quarterback, and we were not a, you know, quarterback away, drop him in, and he's going to succeed. So if this was last year and we had Minnesota's roster right now, we were dropping in Bryce Young, you know, rookie year with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, hey man, I bet you we win 10 games. But we're not in that situation. We have who we have, so we need to maximize that.
we get to have actual film against the defense and be able to watch our guys doing it. I think they're probably getting sick and tired of us watching, Tampa, Seattle, like historic clips from different teams. It's like, let's start building our own inventory of passes so we can study it and correct it.
Dave, you mentioned different body types.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Exercises. How does that impact how you're putting things in right now?
By the way, when Dave does that crazy face, let me see if I can go back. Ready? I'm gonna try and pause it.
Yeah.
There it is, the crazy face. He's just like, I swear. Also, chapstick. You need to sponsor this man. He licks his lips more than anybody. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if he has a vitamin deficiency. Okay? But we need to help him. Dave needs help. Get him chapstick.
How you're putting things in right now when you've added a Deontay, an Xavier, just different types than you've had in the past.
I would say, like,
Real quick, the question was, how is he adjusting to the body styles and everything like that? Obviously, the addition of Deontay Johnson, the addition of Xavier Leggett, we have some interesting body styles now. And then, of course, Jalen Coker and a few other guys, even ISM. So how are we going to be able to adjust to those different body types, speeds, styles, and of course, strengths and weaknesses?
Darren, generally, like, the starting point for us is we just put in some core concepts and ask our guys to kind of fit the core concepts. That won't stay that way. The commitment of us, the commitment of the offense and defense and our staff is, let's become what our players do well. But I think right now we're still in such a general phase that we're not really, honing in on the different skill sets of each guy. It shows up in windows, but we'll move guys in formation. We'll put someone who may traditionally be an outside receiver will end up in the slot. A tight end may be outside at some points, and the backs will be involved in empty. So I think we're still pretty early with that process.
Is the Carolina Panthers going to be the team that goes 5 wide and puts like a running back, 2 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends? Like Ian Thomas to block, throw Jatavian Sanders in there to be like a random little like fly slot guy. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting thing, especially if Dave does all these weird concepts that he's kind of been thinking about. It's more of my concern is Bryce getting the time and the ability to distribute the ball where it needs to be. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to figure out soon. And obviously, hopefully in training camp, which hopefully a bunch of y'all are going to go and send me a bunch of footage because I'm going to use it here on the channel. So yeah, he needs to really see what's going to go on and again, how they're going to run it with Bryce's strengths and weaknesses.
Anything you've seen from Deontay in person that maybe didn't show up in your film review of him?
I think what you see on film is kind of what I've been seeing in person. So it's his ability to get in and out of breaks at the top, quickness, the pace of how he does it, the setup. This is a guy who's played a lot of football, and so you can see that really show up when you get into the team type of settings where he's just, he's been playing so long, he's got really good eyes in terms of what the coverage shell might be. Where are my defenders at and where does this route stem need to go based on what they're doing? So you can just see the natural way he plays football.
That's an interesting one, but again, we also have to remember Deontay Johnson was jettisoned from his situation for basically nothing. I think we got him for like a 7th. So that's going to be a whole other thing. He left his previous situation. People wanted him gone.
Put it where it had to be. Instead, running play, 3rd and 2. Trying to get there is Warren. The ball pops free.
Do those problems follow him? I hope not. I hope we get the efficient route runner from Pittsburgh, But at the same time, we also can't ignore the warning signs that Pittsburgh saw. So that's another thing. How is he going to handle all these new personalities? So many South Carolina players and all that kind of together. So it's a very interesting dynamic now.
You touched on this earlier, the young guys, where were they, where did you want them to be and where were they coming in after rookie minicamp? And can you use that as an evaluation of your coaching staff and how they're teaching?
Yeah, I think partly. Our
Great question, by the way. Fantastic question.
approach has been, especially with them, only getting them for a couple of days. Like it was high level. Here's what the huddle looks like. This is the different this is the letters we use in these formations. Here's our formation families. So it's really big picture. So I think I saw them just kind of saw their wheels kind of spinning a little bit today. And so I would expect them to gradually get quicker. And I can always tell by how the huddle breaks. And if a guy's kind of slowly coming out, he's thinking, and so there's a lot of good thinking going on out there. And that's about what I expect.
Philosophically, how do you create that from scratch, that almost like syllabus, right? Or what,
Yeah.
like how you're going to teach it?
Yeah, so it kind of goes in like 9 install cycles. So basically,
Okay, I'm curious how much of this stuff he's getting directly from Pete Carroll's tutelage and what he taught him. The other thing I'm also very curious about is why have we not consulted to bring Pete Carroll in just to kind of help Brad become a better head coach? I mean, he's the guy that really gave Brad. I keep thinking of Brad Idzik. I apologize, Dave. To give Dave that opportunity, he came in there, gave him that opportunity, brought him out of college into the pros. So why not keep him as a consultant pseudo, unless he's still consulting for the Seahawks, of course. But from what I understand, did they completely do that, or did they do like one of those weird ones where they move him to the front office? I'm not sure. Make sure you put it in the comments.
on offense, we have 9 installs, and it covers most of the core of our offense. And the goal is to go through those 9 installs 3 times in the offseason. So in phase 1, it's a lot of classroom time, very little on the field. So we're taking it through them there, PowerPoints, visuals, video representations. Phase 2, you get out there and you actually practice the plays a little bit more with the full group, and you kind of repeat those 9 installs. Then you reset for phase 3. Here we are. We got 9 OTAs. So each day we'll hit one of those installs. And then we kind of have like a final exam, if you will, for minicamp, where we get them together. We mix them in those couple of days. We mix all 9 in and give them a chance to kind of study it, and then kind of give them a little bit of us, send them off in the summer with, hey, so here's the system. This is what a typical practice day would look like. And then we restart the process when we get in for camp.
You saw Ian Thomas a couple of times make some deep catch and another one on the side. How are the other talents you've added around Bryce kind of open things up for that position that never seemed to get opened up last year?
Yeah, I think honestly, again, back to the point, like I love bringing in young talent to raise the level of competition for every room. And what I love to see is for the guys who have been here to kind of feel, all right, there's this new person that, is drafted pretty high, and we may have expectations for a guy. And the guys that respond the right way, they show up and they work hard. They show up and they keep working on their craft, and they look for those opportunities to make plays. So it was great to see Ian, making a few plays like that today.
Okay, so they bring in Jatavian Sanders to spark Ian Thomas to do more, be better, the whole 9. That's an interesting one. Okay. I mean, it makes sense. I got to be honest, it makes sense.
Young talent that you've got during the draft to help Bryce get better this year, are you seeing, how much evidence are you seeing of that so far that can be a big help?
I think it's probably back to my point. Those guys are still really in a learning process. But I do get excited to see them in individual drills. To see the specific body movement of Xavier, to see JT. And just some of the younger guys come in and really working on their craft, trying to master it. So I'm excited about getting them up to speed so we can really see what we have. But it's really early. They've got a long way to go in terms of learning what we're doing.
And that's fair. Like, you're bringing in rookies. You're bringing in Jonathan Brooks, who's still coming off the injury. Obviously, Xavier had that one breakout year that got him drafted. Excuse me. So, it's going to be an interesting year. I like that he's not really commenting on them yet. He's saying they still need to really understand our process and really how we're going to start accomplishing things. So I got to give him credit for that. That's the right way to say it. At the same time, we have a lot of guys that I think are going to be really beneficial next year as opposed to this year. Jatavian Sanders, for one. Jonathan Brooks. Even Xavier Leggett, for the most part. I don't think he's going to be as much. And even if he goes crazy, then we go into the sophomore slump and all that other stuff. I think a lot of these guys are not going to go through the slump. I think they're going to do kind of what Bryce did. And I expect Bryce to have a much better second year than his first year, whereas I'm really expecting a Stroud decline. But obviously, anything is possible now that Texans have Diggs. I mean, whole NFL's on fire at this point.
You've been in touch with Eddie Is there any expectation that he'll be here for mandatory?
I have not talked to him, so I think we're just focusing on the guys we have. I'm glad we have Harrison Mevis here so that we can actually go through our field goal block period. So just really focusing on the guys that are here, and I'm sure Eddie he's got a plan for this whole thing. So
every one of these NFL calendar landmarks is a first for you.
Yeah.
What are you adjusting to? What has been maybe the biggest adjustment?
Oh, yeah, I think it's just, the week ends, but then my wheels have to be kind of turning for the next week coming up. Calendar adjustments, what type of load are we having on the whole group? Are we getting enough work? Are we getting too much work? And so Andrew Altoff, he and I just check in daily and kind of, have a specific plan for guys, trying to make sure we have the right amount of work for this time of year, and really do it intentionally. So I think some of those things are probably, the newer type of elements than what I'm used to. This being my 15th offseason in the NFL, but first as a head coach, having to kind of go through some of those things. And of course, just other logistical planning things like for camp, for different events, trying to build the team, and how can I then also incorporate, just some team philosophy stuff into our meeting rooms when we're really trying to focus on the X's and O's part to try to trickle in a little bit of culture and those things.
Yeah, you also got to remember he's going to be offensive play caller, but the OC is Brad Itzik, who is the wide receiver coach in Tampa. So he brought his boy from Tampa, which is good. Bring somebody that you want to teach and all that other stuff, and give him an opportunity. So you got to figure he's also doing quite a bit with the offense as well, on top of the head coaching duties. So we're in a little bit of the situation we were last year with Frank Reich. But hopefully he's able to balance it a little bit better, and hopefully we don't have the Tepper meddling that we had before. That was obviously the biggest problem. If Tepper stays out of it, I think so much of last year changes. But the fact that Tepper was involved in the draft, Tepper was involved with everything in the offseason, OTAs, contract decisions, the whole nine, I don't like that. If this is the first year where he's going to truly stay away, that's great. I don't think that's truly the case. I think it's just kind of, again, throwing the scent off the trail, but we shall see.
About timing coming out of the huddle, but during the combine you also talked about Bryce's timing, getting the ball out of his hands. Where are you guys at in that process with timing his passes quick?
Yeah, I think today is like a really good starting point for because really what's going to allow Bryce to learn the timing as he grows is having the defense out there to kind of see like these windows close quickly. How quickly can I, if number one in progression is going to be, off pre-snap, how quickly can I get to 2 and 3? So those are all the things that I can't wait to just get into the meeting room, study what we did today, and build off of that and just kind of stack those days. But this is really the time that we're starting to evaluate that.
Dave, can you provide clarity on Amari Barno's injury? We knew that it was an injury. Could you provide clarity on what the injury is and what his timeline is?
Yeah, he had a pretty good ACL injury, and so he's progressing great. He was on the field doing some straight line running stuff today. He's been here every day working with our athletic training staff just to build the strength around it, his flexibility and all that the reports we're getting is great. So he's trending in the right direction. I don't have a specific date, but he is out there working and he's got his cleats on doing stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting him back up to speed where we could have him in a practice at some point.
That's awesome. I don't like that not a specific date, but obviously he hasn't talked with anybody about it yet. So just let that one kind of go. Obviously, as we move forward, Dave is going to be under a lot of stress. So hopefully, Panthers fans are able to give him a little bit of slack, because I know I sure am. I didn't give Chris Tabor any slack, so I can't say anything. And of course, I was a little bit more of a Frank Reich defender, but I keep going back to that whole Tepper meddling thing. But regardless, this is our guy. I'm super excited for this year. Hopefully he rounds this one out strong. Only got about 2.5 minutes left. So
Austin sort of work on building that connection. Is there anything you can do outside of reps to maybe facilitate that chemistry?
Really, it's just up to them to kind of catch those early windows out there. We're really restricted with the time that we can be on field doing those things. And that's what they're doing. You start the walkthrough period, and we have a center quarterback exchange at the beginning of every day. And then, just the constant communication of, hey, the ball was here, or the ball was there, or Austin could even say, like, when I'm stepping right, it feels like you're a little bit short on this side, So they just constantly have to be talking and giving feedback immediately after each play.
Yeah, because that's another thing. Like when I was talking about offensive line changes, we're moving Corbett from, I believe, the tackle position to the center position. It'll be his first time playing center in the NFL, from what I understand. If I'm wrong, I'll flash it on screen. If not, There's nothing there. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. They really need to establish that rapport, really get it going, because with a, now second-year wide receiver in Xavier Leggett, the whole Deontay coming in, there's going to be so much in flux. Obviously, the addition of Robert Hunt, depending on where the season is, we might have Jatavian Sanders out there catching balls already, or we might have Jonathan Brooks running the ball. So there's a lot that's going to be changing around Bryce, and he needs to be able to stay measured and be able to handle that. And that starts with the center. So I like that this is the focus first.
Dave,
Do a couple more.
And you guys are going to Germany.
Yes.
That chance to, I know last year some teams went early, give
Yeah.
the players a chance to sightsee, and some went late, just having a walk through. Any thoughts on that so far? Can I have one follow-up?
Yeah, I think it's our competitive advantage to kind of do it a way that I've seen that's worked. So I don't want to give too much information about that. But we were there, Seattle, Tampa. We were there 2 years ago in Germany. So we've had that model, and then I was able to pick Coach Bull's brain a little bit about what they did on their side of it. And so we have a plan for that. I'm excited to get out there though.
Speaking of the
Yeah, if you're going to go to the Germany game, please make sure to send in clips and all that other stuff. The Panthers fan base is hopefully going to show out big. I wish I could go, but man, that's going to be a crazy flight. And if I'm doing that, man, I'm probably never leaving Germany. So I'm staying in the States for that one. I will be at the Broncos game, debating on going to another game as well. So you guys might end up seeing me at 2.
Primetime games, your reaction to the no primetime game?
Yeah, you got to earn it. You got to earn primetime games. Those things don't just come along. It's every year. You don't start out that way, and they don't just throw you on primetime games for no reason. We have to build something, a version of football that we're proud of, and be able to accentuate the strengths and talents of our guys that we have. And then I think that the world will want to see that at some point. But we got a long way to go, and we got to earn those type of ops.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to put us on prime time. Like, who's going to be our big primetime rival? The Cardinals? Because if that's the case, what is that? The battle for the bottom? The Patriots? Again, battle for the top 5 pick. So it's really going to be like, if Jaden Daniels elevates the Commanders, then who's the team that falls? And really, like, if we don't step out of this glue trap that it seems like we've been in, we're not taking a step forward. We have no rivals. Like, okay, let's go, we're going to go play the Texans. Do you see the Texans and what they look like now with what they did in the offseason? I don't want to play that team. Man, I want to play our secondary, our second string, I mean. Like, I don't want to play some of these. We need to prove it first. Like I said, we need to see it on the field.
One from Bash Time.
Well, that was my question. Well, I'll piggyback on that. Do you use that as kind of motivation then for the guys, or?
I'm not a negative motivator. I'm about possibilities. I'm about how good we can become. And so I think maybe some guys would be naturally motivated that way. If they do, that's just never really worked for me. I don't know who the teams are. Look at the schedule. I can't tell you whether I'm excited about it or not. I'm just excited. It just makes it more real for me now that it's on paper and it's a solid schedule. It's like, okay, now this feels real. This season's going to happen, whether we like it or not. Here it comes. And it just gets me excited to go forward and do that. But we just don't know. The teams that start off, a certain way in the first 4 games are a different team in the middle of the season. And my expectation for our group is we take it 1 week at a time and we just get better the following week by working hard and by working together.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Dave. Obviously, this is an interesting one. This is going to be a year where we really need to develop past, kind of where we're at. We are already projected to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft next year. That hurts, obviously. We still have Bryce. If we end up with the number 1 pick again, to be honest, Bryce is a bust. But we're not there yet. We need to play the games. We need to see what is going out there, getting put on the field. We need to see the offense executing, the defense taking the ball away, and a lot more, to be honest. I need to see special teams. There's a lot that has to change. Dave looks like the guy to solve it, hopefully. I obviously got some interesting thoughts about what might happen next year, and if we end up with 3, 4 wins, there might be a certain coach that our owner really likes that might be worth shipping Dave out for. So that's something to think about as well. I'm not going to drop that one yet, but I will in another video. So hopefully you guys like this one. I'm going to give Dave a B+, or A-. We're going to go A- with this one. I like him. Very likable guy in general. Very open with what he is thinking, very detailed in his breakdowns of his thought process and everything like that. I like the openness to kind of say we're, kind of starting with the basics, maybe not vanilla, because again, that word is now banned from the Carolina Panthers, but he's doing something. And that something is coming out here and really selling the dream. That's kind of what he said. He's not a negative motivator. He's going to be a positive motivator. He's there to, show you what can be, the possibilities. So the possibility is that we could be a 6 or 8 win team. I'm probably going to put us closer to 4 to 6. But hey, if we end up going better than that, I'm super happy. And it'll be, he'll be able to take a lot of credit for that. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check out all the other videos. Started putting out more shorts, so go check those out too. Otherwise, have a great rest of the day. Peace.